Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Irish Wrestling Podcast. I'm delighted to be joined today by the man who in 2022 had 70 matches from 30 promotions in 7 different countries. But most importantly, and unintentionally wearing a Botchamania t-shirt, he had the greatest suicide dive of all time.
That's right. That's right. The best suicide dive of all time.
Vaughn Vertigo, how are you, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for coming on. Like I said before we started recording, I want to let people know who are watching this, all the Irish fans who go to OTT and other promotions, who you are. You appear for OTT already. You made your debut for OTT in Derry this year. So I'll touch a bit on that. First of all, your first OTT. How did it go for you?
Went really well. I mean, first off, I didn't realize that Derry is in Northern Ireland, so I had to learn about that.
don't tell half of Derry that some parts are they want to be in that republic.
I mean, I flew into Dublin, then it was like a 3-hour drive, and I wasn't expecting that. No, it was great. I mean, I couldn't have asked for like a better opponent than LJ Cleary. Like literally when I knew all this was happening with OTT, I was thinking about who I get the chance to wrestle with, and I was very thankful it was LJ. So we opened the show there in Derry, and I was very happy with how everything went. Not happy with losing, but
Did you get a chance to go around Derry when you were there, or did you get to spend time?
You know what, man? We drove like across the bridge, and I was like, man, this is a really nice town. And then I went to the shopping mall across the street and got like a McDonald's at one point, and then went to Nando's after the show. And that's all I saw, unfortunately. It seemed nice though. I heard Derry's big on like Halloween.
Yeah, they have a Halloween festival every year. There's fireworks and stuff, and there's always street.
That's really neat. See, I hope they do a show in October so I can go back or something.
Well, OTT normally do like an anniversary show in October, so they normally do like Wolverhampton, Dublin, and Belfast.
Oh, they do a trio, yeah. That'd be great.
So Derry wouldn't be too far away, like if you're staying around for the whole weekend. Hopefully, that's what they did last year. Was around Halloween weekend, so.
Man, it'd be awesome to be able to do like a trio of OTT shows. I was only able to do the Derry show. I was already booked the day before in Denmark, so. But thankfully they made that happen because OTT is a company that like I've been trying to get on for years. There's a lot of really good talent there.
Yeah, and I think that was their first time in Derry as well. So it was
yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah, I think it was scheduled for like November or something.
That's right. Yeah, it
was delayed. Yeah,
there was an issue with it. It's just to let people know. I know you started off. You started off the squared circle wrestling.
Yeah,
growing up, you started off as a referee. Is that right? You started training.
I started training when I was 14. So the only things I was allowed to do was to like film the show, set up for the show, do the merchandise for like Kevin Owens and El Generico, and then I'd ref a couple shows here and there. Yeah.
How was that compared to like were you when you were reffing? Did that help you along the line then whenever you were?
Yeah, it honestly did because I was such a shy kid, but like actually being in the ring and being in front of people like actually like really helped me find comfort in it because I had to experience stuff on the fly like where I mean being a referee is not easy. I learned it. I had to deal with somebody getting injured and being like, well, what do I do? Throw up the X. Oh, okay.
Well, you're kind of paramedic inside the ring. You have to make sure they're okay, right?
Yeah. So it's good to like have that perspective, and it just gave me more of like an appreciation for kind of every job in wrestling.
Go back to before you got it. Was meeting Trish Stratus? You met Trish Stratus when you were younger?
No. Well, I met her quite a bit. It was actually the case of my best friend growing up. His aunt is Trish Stratus.
Oh, nice.
So that's how I was kind of introduced to wrestling because we go to Blockbuster and rent like SmackDown vs. Raw, and I'd be flipping through the characters, and I'm like, holy, that's your aunt, dude. And I felt really bad for him because everybody in like grade 5 and 6 would be like, dude, your aunt is so hot. Like this is like right before she retired.
To this day, or they're probably still saying it to this day after she's still
they are. So she was at like my grade 8 graduation and whatnot. It actually came full circle because I haven't seen my friend in a while, but we keep in touch here and there. And then when I did extra work for WWE, Trish was there in Toronto, and I got to be like, hey, how's it going? And she's like, oh, you're Wayne's wrestling friend, right? I'm like, yeah. And then she took a photo with me in front of Paul Levesque's office.
Nice.
Which was funny. So
you could have teased that, saying, "Oh, I'm going to tell everybody you're about to sign a contract or something."
Nah, that photo is just for me. I don't want to get her in trouble. You're not allowed to take photos when you're there, so.
No, I think so. Mm-hmm. So you had your first match. It must be almost 10 years ago now. You had it in 2013.
Yeah.
How would you think now between it's been 10 years? Was there a stage in that 10-year period where you like everything just clicked? Do you think? You weren't overthinking matches. You weren't worrying about the next move and stuff. Or was there a period where you said,
I think not to cut you off, sorry, but I think like I feel like I know where you're going with this, but I think that started happening last year when I went on the 2-month tour of Europe kind of thing. Because before the pandemic, I feel like I was still like a kid in wrestling. I was like 24, and then the pandemic happened, and I came out, and I was 26, and I felt like I was more kind of ready and more prepared over that time period and that break. So I kind of just went balls to the walls and tried to travel as much as I could last year, and that's when things started to less thinking and more just kind of doing, right?
Yeah. How was the tour for you? You had a massive European tour.
Really good. Like I tell everybody that like when I first started coming to Europe, like nobody knew who I was. I was working on like the smallest shows. I just happened to get lucky, and like the first person I wrestled was Kip Sabian.
Nice.
So he was very like accommodating and helped me get on the kind of the mid-tier shows. And then it wasn't until after the pandemic that I finally got the opportunity to go on like a Progress and a WXW and an ICW and now into OTT, right?
That's
but
cool.
no, that 2-month tour was the best time I ever had in my life, like professionally. Like it just everything snowballed. It was great.
Was there something in the companies, not to compare them or put them against each other, but was there something that you took away from all of them, that they all have that one thing that you were like, this is like a camaraderie thing, or
just like general professionalism?
Mm-hmm.
Like I come from Canada, where we have a really good scene, we have really good professional wrestlers, but where we're only starting to get it now is production and like footage. Like Smash Wrestling always had it down, but a lot of the other companies were never really up to par. So when I go to a WXW or an ICW or a Progress, and now OTT as well, like I was saying, like they're all like the production is so damn clean. I'm not used to that, and like that's what I want to wrestle for. I want to wrestle for TV. So having that experience is really, really a good thing.
And you mentioned the WXW showcase. You just had the match with a friend of our channels. He's been over in Ireland a few times, Leyton Buzzard, for the ICW champion, the first Canadian to ever compete for the ICW championship. How was that?
It was good. We were very very happy that happened, because we've had like a long history of we wrestled before COVID on like PCW shows, and then I took his cruiserweight championship to Canada, and then he started getting some buzz and getting on bigger shows, and now I got to wrestle for the ICW title. So I was hoping to kind of repeat history and take his championship back to Canada. But you know what, he's staying at my house right now. He's actually here, so I'll say hi to him for you.
Going back a little bit, then you mentioned during the pandemic, I saw the clips online. Can you tell me a bit about the backyard pro wrestling that looked at?
Oh my god, of course. So that was a case of obviously we weren't really able to do anything during the pandemic. So my friend and tag team partner Gabriel Flores, we filmed this like backyard pro wrestling movie where we just wrestled each other in my backyard, and we came up with like new characters for it just because we were bored. There was nothing to do, right? This was like May, when the pandemic started. We did that, and I kind of looked at him and I was like, I think we can just, this can be a thing. Like I backyarded as a kid. I started my own promotion. I filmed everything. I edited everything. I was like, what if we just do this, but use actual professionals and pretend like, because of the pandemic, we have to go back to backyard wrestling because we can't wrestle in front of crowds. So that's what it became. We just took like a bunch of the wrestlers in the area, and everybody wanted to be part of it because there was nothing to do. Everybody came up with new characters, and then you got like Psychotic Michael, who was Psycho Mike, wrestling a Rock in a 2-week-long Iron Man match, and you got Josh Alexander becoming the dancing weapon, and like all this sorts of ridiculous stuff. And honestly, like it just like creating that content like kept me going. It just gave me something creative to work on, and I'm so happy that like it's looked back on fondly. I'm sure, I mean, like it did pretty, like in terms of the wrestling community, it did really well numbers wise for us in like Canada and the US, like in terms of like an independent promotion. But I'm glad you asked me about that. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, I looked again. I was researching when I started watching clips. I couldn't stop watching them. It was one of those things where you just
cool.
And I just wanted to see more of it. And I was, is that something like in your head now? You're like, go on to different promotions, maybe try out a different bit of character work that you can use some of the stuff from the backyard wrestling in.
I think if anything, I didn't really learn. Like, I'm not gonna go be Geoff Hardy on a wrestling show unless it was a backyard wrestling show or something. I think what I took away from it the most is how important like vignettes are, because that's another thing that I was trying to kind of prove to Canada about. This is going back to production, but I was kind of wanted to prove to these companies that if you make content and like film these vignettes with these characters and just like put it out strategically on social media, like people will care about this. this was a joke wrestling show. And like I got people to care about it because we like invested in all this time and this content into all these characters, right? So it was kind of like hey guys, just want to show you guys, but if you put stuff out, like it'll work, right?
Yeah, 100%. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as, again, like you said, you're invested in it, and it's your work.
I'm very proud of like what we put together, and if you get the time, please go back and watch
definitely check it out.
The 3 seasons we have.
I'll leave the links in below for it, because some of the episodes are hilarious. They're brilliant.
Thank you.
We go back and watch them. Back on to a bit more serious stuff, like your plans now for 23. You know, I know you had the hernia. Did you have a hernia operation that's just gone?
I did. So it was a whole chain of events. I wrestled Axel Tischer for WXW versus Smash. Had a few shows after that, and then I had a shoulder injury, which was my SC joint. I was just supposed to be out for like 4 weeks.
Right.
I got back in the gym, and I was like ready to come back end of December, and then I had to get my appendix removed. I was like, oh shit. Well, at least it's December. Like I can, it's Christmas. I can take a break.
A couple of days. Yeah,
they said 4 weeks. So I came back in 4 weeks. But unfortunately, when I woke up from the surgery, they're like, hey, did you know you have a inguinal hernia? And I was like, no, I didn't. But with what I do, like, probably makes sense. So they said it should be an issue. And then like 2-3 weeks later, I started getting like a lot of like symptoms and pain with it. And like I had to like literally push the hernia back in my body every time I wrestled. So I talked to my surgeon, and he said like, hey, like you can do this, you can go travel, but you got to be careful. Like try not to avoid like any shots to the stomach or anything like that. And if you have to have emergency surgery, like it's a possibility. So just be aware of that. But he's like, I trust you. Like you can probably get through it. So I took that and I traveled to 5 countries on 7 flights. And the flight home after wrestling Leyton was brutal, because I was just so stressed about everything. Like if something goes wrong with your hernia and you're in the air, like it's a matter of hours, you need to get something done. So I really risked it. But now that I've had the surgery, I'm starting to feel a little bit better.
And how long is the recovery time from something like that? Is it a few weeks? Or?
So I'm told it's pretty much the like same area as the appendix. So it's a very similar surgery, but just it takes like 2 weeks longer. So the appendix was a 4-week turnaround. This is 6 weeks. Okay. But it depends on how you heal. It could be up to 2 months.
Okay. And you're not allowed to do anything. You can't do any gym work or anything.
No, I think I'm allowed to go to the gym at about like 4 weeks, but I have to start with lightweight. Oh, yeah. So that's in 4 weeks, or about 3 weeks now, I'll have my my post-op recovery, just to see how things are going, kind of thing. But I would like to get back in the gym next week. I feel pretty good, but I don't want to. You can't mess with that, right?
No, I wouldn't want to mess with it either, especially in the gym when you're lifting one side and next thing you know it's something.
Yeah, I've literally been taking Leyton to the gym and just dropping him off. I'm like, I can't do anything. Like, go have fun.
Sit outside and drinking Tim Hortons or something.
Yeah.
And the recovery time, has that affected? Did you have bookings? Like I know a lot of people are heading to LA this week for wrestling.
Yeah, so I kind of strategically, like I knew I had to get surgery, so I knew when I got back from Europe, like depending on when they were able to book it, I was like, I'll just take the time off. Yeah. So I haven't had anything. Like I had a show last weekend, but that was my last one, and then I'm aiming for like about a month from now, like April 29th, 28th, I want to get back. So I'm hoping for then, but I won't really know for 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah.
And you mentioned before, like, is there bookings for Europe for the rest of the year? Do you have plans to come back?
Nothing planned yet. I obviously, for a wrestling company, flights are very expensive, and especially in the summer. Yeah. So I would love to be back in like June, July, August, but it depends on money and whatnot. If it worked out where like OTT had like 3 shows in a row and they were interested, it'd be wonderful. But I think it's probably likely going to be more of a September, October kind of return at this point. But if anything comes up, like I will definitely take it. But
yeah, well, like we said, like OTT, like they do the anniversary shows in October anyway, so around Halloween weekend. So it might be something. Yeah. Hopefully we get to see you back over here.
No, definitely by the end of the year I will be back in some capacity.
That'll be cool to get to see you properly, because we didn't get to see it.
Yeah, I did. You didn't get me in 100% as well.
No, I didn't get to get to the show either way. That was the first show. Like, even though I grew up like 15 minutes away from Derry, I'm actually living 6 hours away, the opposite direction. So,
oh shoot, where are you?
In Cork. So
Cork. Okay, I've seen that on the map. That's kind of like southwest,
pretty much,
of like Dublin.
So it's maybe 5 or 6 hours back home to
That's a
Donegal.
trek.
So it's a bit of a trek, but over the bank holiday weekend or over the October weekend for Halloween in October normally is when the anniversary shows are. So hopefully there'll be something on then when we get you back over.
That'd be great. Yeah, I'll have to talk to Joe and see if we can make something happen.
Yeah, definitely. We'd love to see you over. Yeah. Short and sweet. I know you're still in your recovery time. I know you've got house guests and you want to go back to
Oh, no worries.
get back to it. I see just before that you go, I see a guitar in the background. Are you a musician? Do you play in bands?
I do dabble. I don't play in bands or anything. It's just kind of like a hobby. Like, if I want to learn a song, I'll just do that. I don't do it as much as I used to, unfortunately. But here and there I'll pick it up and go on guitartabs or whatever.com and take a look what I can learn.
Not a future gimmick, anyway, is it?
No, probably not, unfortunately. But maybe I got 5 more weeks. Maybe I'll get really invested in guitar and I'll end up with like an Elias gimmick or something. Who knows?
Vaughn, pleasure having you on. Thanks for your time this evening.
Dude, no problem. Thank you.
And hopefully we'll see you back in Ireland in October.
That'd be lovely. Cheers.
Thanks, Vaughn. Have a good day.
No problem.